Welcome back to my channel. My name is Rian, and today I thought that I would bring you guys my own personal review of Cars 3. Few videos ago, I made this entire ranking of all Pixar movies, and the reason why I did that was because I was anticipating Cars 3, which was not coming out in the Philippines the same time as it was worldwide. And because I was frustrated about that, I decided to entertain myself with the rest of the Pixar movies, and I decided to rank them for you. And now that I have finally seen Cars 3, I think that it is nothing but proper that I give you guys my thoughts on the movie and eventually tell you where it ranks among the rest of the Pixar movies for me, in my own humble personal opinion. My thoughts were everywhere after watching the movie. Like, I was so excited about it when I got out of the theater, but I also had so many questions, so I just jotted it down in my notebook, like in crazy order, and then I decided to order it based on what I remember the plot being. I only watched it once, so this is totally raw. Like, I did not really have time to think about it or watch it again to find answers, so there may be some things that I might have missed, but this should be, think of it like a first impressions video, like makeup, except not really, it's for a movie. So I guess I have to say this now. This video will contain spoilers. Don't watch it unless you watched Cars 3 or you're willing to be spoiled because you're not gonna watch it anyway. So, of course, for anything else is the opening scene, and I loved it because it was almost exactly the same as the first Cars movie's opening scene, where Lightning's eyes are closed and he's like, "Speed. I am speed." I don't know why I had to close my eyes there, but you know, that was what it felt like. And it just brings me back to how terrible Cars 2 was. Like, them redoing the first scene of Cars was like shoving a huge Cars 2 did not exist in our faces. This black screen with Lightning McQueen just saying his mantra, his before racing mantra, and it was so, it just brought me back to the day when I was a kid and I was watching Cars. Like, that was it. I'm losing the word, but there's a word for it. It's not deja vu. It's nostalgic. That's the word. It was nostalgic. That's the word. And it brought back the magic of Cars. Next, I want to talk about the friendly rivalry, because they really spent a lot of time showing us how Lightning had friendly rivalry with this guy from Dynaco. I'm forgetting the name. Oh, they always made fun of him and it was hilarious. There were like 3 of them and they had like this friendly rivalry, and they would always be winning the matches. It would always be between the 3 of them, and they would make fun of each other, they would congratulate each other, but of course there was a bit of rivalry there because they were competing, of course, racing, but they were friendly. And I think that shows a lot of growth from where we first saw Lightning McQueen's character in Cars. Again, Cars 2 did not exist. And from there, we see growth because now he's not just doing it for winning, and it just shows character growth, and I really appreciated that because you really see how time has flown by, and this is the new mature Lightning McQueen who's not just killing it on the racetrack, but also having relationships with people within that racetrack. And also, it's very realistic. I think that we're shown that he does not win all the time, although he's shown as a big winner, which is, you know, why everyone's cheering for him and why he's always, if he's not the first one, he's always second or third. But exactly, we're shown that he's not always first. Sometimes he's second and third because there are people just as good as him, and it's possible to be friends with those kinds of people. And I think that's very wise and very mature of Disney to put in there. Next, the most heart-wrenching part, well, not really, the second most heart-wrenching part was the crash. Oh my god, the trailer already broke me, but the movie milked it. It milked the crash. Like, in the trailer, just one like boom, and that's it. But in the movie, it was a series of like screeching and moving around, and it didn't end there, and it was even a bigger crash, and then there's close-ups and wide views, and my insides were crying. Like, I was begging for it to stop. Like, the movie was showing us just how bad the crash was, and I felt it. Like, for a moment there I thought he died, but then I realized it was just the start of the movie and he couldn't have died because the movie's about him. But still, it felt like he died. Enter Sally, right? Enter Sally, and they have this like weird relationship. In Cars, we kind of get the idea that they're together, and then it suddenly feels like she's just his best friend. Like, I was kind of confused at first, and then I realized towards the end, like, when he left, he got back in his container van, and then he was like, love you, and then Sally was like, love you too. And then I realized how amazing and mature their relationship was, that they are able to blossom in their own ways. Well, of course, we don't know how Sally blossoms, but we're assuming that she does, because she's not always with Lightning, and she has her own life. We just don't see what that life is, but they're able to blossom in their own ways and support each other. And the basis of the relationship really is friendship, and not just friendship, but it seems like they're each other's best friend. Like, obviously we know Mater is his best friend, but when it comes to really getting Lightning on his butt and giving him inspiration and knowing how to make him cheer up, or inspiring him, or knowing what to say to him so that he will keep moving forward, Sally's the one who knows how to do that. And that's how you know that they're in a good relationship, because even though it's not all lovey-dovey like we're used to, we can see that the bond is there, the special bond that, you know, can only exist between two people who see each other in that way. And then we're introduced to Sterling, who just had weird, creepy, bad guy vibes to me. Like, at first I wasn't sure. Like, when I first saw him, I'm like, bad guy. Like, there's the plot, bad guy. Like, the new boss is the bad guy. And then it just seemed like he was like this weird fan whose only intent was to make money out of Lightning, and I wasn't sure if that made him a bad guy. I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's a clear antagonist in this movie, like when you think about it now. It's more of man versus man. And that, I mean, not man versus man, it's more like man versus himself, or car versus himself, you know? Instead of car versus car. And then we meet Cruz, who has major, what did I write? Trainer vibes. Major trainer vibes. And at first you don't really think that she's gonna be an interesting character or an important character. You kind of think like she's like comic relief at first, until Lightning starts to train her on the beach, and that's when you know she's playing an important part in this movie. I want to get into how Smokey was showing Lightning that Doc Hud's best days I'm just reading out of this. Days were training Lightning even more than racing himself. And this scene, it broke me. I was so weak. I was tearing up because it was so heart-wrenching. This is the biggest heart-wrenching part of the entire movie. Lightning is there. His entire life, he just says that he doesn't want to end up like Doc. That's why he was so scared about his crash, because he doesn't want to end up with like Doc. He doesn't want to not get back into the racetrack again. He wants to get back into it, but he knows that what happened to him is just like what happened to Doc. And then Smokey comes in and he's like, you know what? It's okay that that happened to Doc, because even though Doc loved racing, he loved training you even more. And that, it just shows us that, you know, life has a way of keeping itself going. That sometimes there are unexpected things that'll happen in our life that seem like the worst thing ever. And you just feel like you can't bounce back from it. But when you look at the bright side, or you open yourself to new things, you'll realize that that terrible part in your life was just an opening to something even better. And I think that's so hopeful. Like, right now, you may be chasing a dream and you think that that's the best thing for you. And that may be true. Whatever you had, that was the best for you at that time. But now that it's gone, and you feel sad, you're not really seeing what's gonna happen in the future. But you don't realize that with all this growth and all this time that you've spent making yourself who you are today or in the future, that something will come that will be perfect for that time too. I think that's a wonderful thought. I also really liked how this movie talked about feminism without talking about feminism. You know, feminism was in the movie not because they talked about it, but because they showed it. Because it wasn't even a question. And that's with Cruz and the old racer girl who said that they were all surprised when a female came in. But that's all she said. She didn't say anything about how, like, she was ostracized or judged or whatever. They were just surprised. And history was made. It was that simple. And I think that's how simple this world should be. I really liked how they talked about feminism without talking about feminism. You know what I mean? Another thing I really liked is how Lightning McQueen didn't openly say that he was gonna quit racing. Because if he did say that he was gonna quit racing, then we'd have a story that was much too like Doc Hudson. But in order to retain Lightning McQueen's identity while having that growth and that inspiration from Doc Hudson, he started mentoring, but he didn't exactly say that he was gonna quit racing. In fact, they did like this demo thing. He did this demo thing with Cruz, and I think that really showed Lightning McQueen's personality. That although he has grown and he has taken inspiration from Doc Hudson, he still had this love for racing and he still had the drive to keep on driving. Hey! But you know what I mean, right? That he raced for the love of it. And we really saw that because he did not quit. He just decided to take on a new role, the role of a mentor. But he did not lose his role and identity as a racer as well. But of course, for all the things that I loved about this movie, there are some things that were amiss. Like, I was so confused. And here is my biggest issue. Let's talk about Jackson Storm, who was better than Lightning McQueen because of the statistics of racing. This girl, Natalie, was talking about all these complicated car terms, which I would love to tell you, but I am not an expert. Stuff about like wind resistance, I think, and drive and how low he was. Basically, it was all statistical. It was all numerical, as she would say. Numbers don't lie. Jackson Storm was statistically better, and I assumed that's why he was next generation, new generation, because he was made in such a way that would give him better chances of winning a race in comparison to Lightning McQueen. And then that plot device was totally left hanging. Like, enter Cruz Ramirez. She looks almost more like Lightning McQueen than Jackson Storm. So I didn't really get the impression that she was next generation because she looked like Lightning more than Jackson Storm. So that means she didn't have all those numbers by her side. So what does next generation mean? Does next generation mean that you're made like Jackson Storm, or does next generation mean that you're just younger? I don't know. How did Cruz beat Jackson Storm? Was she just naturally talented? Like, no matter what she looked like, she was just faster, so she would have won anyway? So does that mean that Lightning could have beaten Jackson Storm even though even though the numbers weren't in his favor, if only Lightning were younger? Another thing that I wish happened in this movie is that I really wanted Cruz and Lightning to learn from each other and both become better. But it seemed as though Cruz did all the learning and Lightning not so much. I really wanted him to win that Florida Cup on his own before, turning in the gears and saying, hey, I feel like I want to mentor you, Cruz. Like, that one last glory day, but it seemed like it was kind of robbed off of him. So I don't know, it felt kind of anticlimactic to me. Like I really loved the choice of choosing to mentor because it showed the next stage in Lightning's development as a character, but it seemed really anticlimactic to me. And lastly, this is gonna be really petty, but I did not like the paint job that Lightning McQueen got at the end of the movie. I don't know, I get the point. It's supposed to be like in honor of Doc Hudson and everything, like a homage, but Lightning's red is iconic. Like, iconic. That is like the brightest red I've ever seen, and it suits him as a race car. That's his color. That's Lightning McQueen, you know? Red and the yellow lightning, it works. And now it's just like Doc Hudson's color, and he kind of looks like a shadow. Like, it doesn't work with his car. Anyway, all that sadness aside, I really did love the movie. I came out of it feeling fresh and elated and still excited and wanting to watch it again, even though I haven't gotten the time to do that or the money. Now it's time to rank it. Definitely better than Cars 2, no doubt. All Pixar movies are better than Cars 2. But I wouldn't put it past Cars. I still enjoyed Cars a lot more than this one, although it's not very far. So I knew for sure that it was gonna be below 4. But I also knew for sure that it was gonna be above Finding Dory. So I was looking through my list again of my Pixar ranking, and I had to put it somewhere there. So I had a hard time. I had to sit on it. I thought about it a lot until I finally decided to put it in between Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. I'm putting it at number 12, in between number 11, which is Finding Nemo, and number 13, which is now Finding Dory. So I hope that you guys enjoyed that review. Please tell me what you guys think about Cars 3. What are your feelings? What are your feelings about my reviews? What do you think about the other Cars 2 movies? And about the other 2 Cars movies? And tell me where it would rank in your own Pixar ranking. I'll see you again in my next video, and bye!